The two sons of Valcora created orange and purple shadows across the army base where the war had finally ended. In the big hall carved from solid rock, 7 alien women stood on display like prizes. Their blue skin shined under glowing light, and their pointed ears heard every whispered comment. 6 stood tall and beautiful in olive-green clothing with ceremonial rope around their upper arms. But one sat by herself on the cold floor. She was heavier and rounder, and her body had scars that no one wanted to try to understand. The soldiers laughed and pointed at her. Their voices bounced off the old walls, but one man stood quiet in the back. His uniform still had ash stains on it. His eyes looked not at the beautiful prisoners, but at the broken one everyone had forgotten. What he was about to do would change the meaning of honor across the entire galaxy. Before we start, subscribe now so you don't miss more amazing stories like this one. Oh, and before we begin, tell us in the comments where you are watching this video from. We love hearing from you and always read every message. Captain Marcus Chen pressed his back against the stone wall of the Valkyran Victory Hall. He watched his fellow soldiers celebrate with bottles and shouts that sounded almost wild. The 7 Na'vi women had been brought from jail that morning. 6 stood in perfect formation. Their thin bodies looked amazing even after losing the war, but the 7th sat separated because everyone was cruel to her. She was soft and round, her face turned down in permanent shame. "Look at that one," Lieutenant Rodriguez shouted, pointing with his bottle. "They sent us their rejects. What are we supposed to do with that?" Laughter burst out like gunfire. Someone threw a piece of fruit that landed near her knee. She didn't move. She didn't even flinch. Her stillness was complete, as if she had learned long ago that any reaction would only make the cruelty worse. "Each platoon leader chooses one as payment for your service," Colonel Hastings announced from the center of the hall. The Na'vi Council agreed to this as part of the surrender deal. "Think of it as a prize of war." Marcus felt his jaw get tight. Prizes of war, as if thinking beings could be divided up like food packs. One by one, leaders made their choices from the 6 standing women. They looked at them like farm animals, sometimes lifting a chin or checking an arm. Each time they passed over the sitting woman without a look, stepping around her like she was furniture. "Chen, you're up." "Last choice." The hall became quiet with excitement. Marcus pushed off from the wall and walked forward. His boots made echoing sounds on the stone. He stopped in front of the one on the floor. She looked up slowly. Marcus saw not the broken giving up he expected, but a depth of sadness so deep it seemed to pull at reality itself. Her eyes were the color of deep ocean depths. "This one," Marcus said quietly. "I choose this one." The hall burst into chaos. But while they laughed, her eyes shimmered faintly as if holding a truth older than the stars. "Chen, you hit your head in that last battle," Major Torrance called out. "The tall one is still available. We can change this if you're having some kind of problem." "I'm fine. I've made my choice." "He's made his choice," Rodriguez howled. "Chen's into the big girls. Who knew? Maybe he's planning to eat well. She looks like she hasn't missed a meal." The cruelty cut deep. Marcus had served with these men for 3 years and had bled with them. Now he saw them clearly for the first time. Colonel Hastings pushed through, face red. "Captain Chen, I'm giving you one chance to change your mind. This goes on your permanent record." "I understand." "Sir, the promotion board will question your judgment, your ability to command. Then they'll question it." "Sir," a junior officer walked over with a data pad. "Captain, for the record, please say your choice clearly." Marcus looked down at her. She was shaking, her hands gripping her knees. "Her name? What's your name?" The hall became silent. No one had asked before, her lips barely moved. It was a whisper. "Nera. My name is Nera. I select Nera. Nera of the Ash Branch clan," she whispered, and there was pride in it that had survived everything. "Selection confirmed," the officer said. "She's now your legal responsibility." Marcus held out his hand. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said in broken Na'vi. Her eyes got wide with shock. She stared at his hand, then slowly placed her warm palm in his. He helped her stand. She was a head taller, swaying as if she hadn't stood much lately. They walked toward the exit through a sea of mocking faces. Someone started a slow clap, thick with sarcasm. As they reached the doorway, an alarm rang out. "Security alert. Incident in detention block C." "No," Nera breathed. Terror complete. "My daughter." My daughter is in Block C. No one believed they would even try, but the silence that followed spread across the room like a storm. Your daughter? You have a child in jail? Marcus's training took over. Please. Nara grabbed his arm desperately. She is only 8 cycles old. They separated us 3 days ago. They said I was not fit to take care of her. Not fit because of her weight. Marcus made a career-ending decision. Come on, we're going to Block C. They ran. Marcus sprinted while Nara moved as quickly as she could, breathing hard but determined. The base was chaos. Soldiers running, officers shouting orders. They reached Block C in 4 minutes. 3 Navi prisoners lay stunned on the floor. A security team had formed a wall with their weapons drawn. Through clear doors, Marcus saw small figures running between cells. Sir, Lieutenant Erickson rushed over. Navi children got past the locks. They're looking for something. We can't calm them down. They don't speak standard language. Marcus turned to Nara. Can you talk to them? Yes, but I do not see Kira. She pressed against the barrier. Kira, I am here. One small figure stopped, turned and ran toward the door. Mama, they said you were gone. Never. My star. Never. The child pressed small hands against the barrier where her mother's hands rested. 10 other children gathered behind her, faces streaked with tears. Sir, we can't open the doors, Erickson said. Protocol. Protocol says we treat them humanely. How is separating children from mothers humane? Open them now. The doors slid open. The child crashed into Nara's arms, small and underfed and desperate. Nara sank to her knees, wrapping her daughter close. The other children crowded around. An older child spoke in broken standard language. Are you taking Kira away? They took all the mothers. They said mothers were dangerous. Marcus crouched down. What's your name? Sura. Sura, I'm going to reunite you with your families, but I need your help. Will you help me? Sura studied him with ancient eyes. Promise on your ancestors you won't let them take the mothers again. Marcus thought about all the promises his people had broken. I promise on my ancestors, on my honor as a soldier. Footsteps echoed, heavy, multiple, moving fast. Colonel Hastings arrived with security, face purple. Chen, what the hell are you doing? Marcus stood, keeping himself between Hastings and the children. Following the Valkoran Treaty, sir. Article 7, Section 3. All non-fighting prisoners housed consistent with family needs. These children need their mothers. You have no authority to go against detention rules. Actually, sir, I do. Nara's under my legal responsibility. That includes her dependent child per subsection 14b. I'm using my right to immediate family integration. Captain Winters stepped forward. Colonel, he's right. I've reviewed the treaty. Chen's understanding is legally correct. If we're holding families separately, we're breaking the rules. The Navi Council could cancel the entire surrender. Hastings calculated rules versus politics. Fine. Process family integration for all children. But Chen, this is on your record. Any problems are yours. As the crowd left, Nara's daughter Kira studied Marcus. Are you the one who chose Mama? Yes, even though she's fat. Kira! Nara gasped, but Marcus smiled. Your mama isn't fat. She survived something difficult. Her body tells a story worth knowing. The other soldiers laughed. I know, but I didn't. Why? Because seeing people for who they are is harder than laughing, and I try to do hard things. Kira nodded seriously. Okay, you can stay. And just when everyone thought they would break, something was revealed that no one expected. The medical building smelled like cleaning chemicals. Marcus stood outside while Nara and Kira had health checks. Captain Winters walked over with coffee. That was something back there. I've been reviewing selection records. Know how many soldiers asked about prisoners' backgrounds? None. None. Torrance's selection. Her name is Sella. She was an engineer, water cleaning specialist, won awards. She could have helped rebuild her planet. Winter's voice was heavy with disgust. Torrance is using her as a housekeeper. The door opened. The elderly Navi doctor came out. Captain Chen, may the ancestors guide your path. May they guide us all. Marcus responded in Navi. Inside, the doctor, Tahani, motioned them to sit. Both are underfed but stable. Kira needs nutrition supplements for 3 months. I'll make sure she gets it. Tahani studied him. You chose Nara. Some say you mock us. Others say you chose wisely. She turned to Nara. Will you permit me to tell him? Nara's arms tightened around Kira. It does not matter. It is past. The past shapes the present. You taught me that, old friend. You know each other? Marcus said. Tahani was my mentor, Nara said quietly. Before the war, I was training to be a healer. I was good at it. She was exceptional, Tahani corrected. The best student I trained in 40 cycles. Her hands could sense injuries scanners missed. What happened? Nara was silent. When she spoke, her voice was empty. 2 years ago, there was a plague in the southern settlements. Deadly. I went to help. I was 7 months pregnant with my second child, a son. The plague took him, my husband, my sister and her 3 children, and my mother. I was in a medical pod for 6 weeks. When I woke, my family was ash and my body, she pointed to herself. The medications changed my metabolism. The weight came and wouldn't leave. The plague took 30,000 lives, Tahani added softly. Treatment left survivors marked. In our culture, those who gain weight are seen as carrying grief, weighted by sorrow. Nara became difficult for others to look at. She reminded them of loss. They stopped coming for healing, Nara continued. They said my grief contaminated my gift, that I was marked by death. When the war came and I volunteered as a medic, they refused me. So I carried supplies instead, the heavy work no one wanted. I was captured doing that work. Your soldiers looked at me and saw only something to mock. Marcus felt cold settle in his chest. You saved lives. Lost everything trying to save lives, and both peoples punished you for surviving? Yes. Tahani placed a hand on Nara's shoulder. But you chose her, Marcus Chen. Why? Because I've seen enough death to recognize someone who fought it and won. Because surviving isn't weakness. It's the hardest strength. Because she was sitting on that floor alone and no one should be that alone. And because, he paused. Because I looked at her and saw someone worth saving, and I realized I needed that. I needed to believe people were still worth saving, that I was still capable of choosing compassion over convenience. Pretty words, Tahani said, testing. Will they remain pretty when the cost becomes clear? The cost is already clear. I burned half my career today. I'll burn the rest tomorrow. My fellow soldiers hate me. My commanders question my fitness. And you think that makes you noble? No, it makes me tired. Tired of being part of a system that treats thinking beings like property. Tired of winning wars while losing humanity. Tired of looking in the mirror and not recognizing who looks back. Marcus stood. I don't know if what I'm doing is right. I just know I couldn't keep doing what was wrong. Tahani studied him, then nodded slowly. The ancestors see truth in intention. They saw yours today. She turned to Nara. Go with him, child. Your story is not finished. It wasn't just knowledge. It was legacy. And suddenly, silence fell across the crowd. 3 days later, Marcus was called to General Morrison's office. The base commander's quarters sat on the highest level. Windows overlooking the defeated Navi city. Buildings still smoked. Streets slowly filled with returning refugees. Morrison was a career soldier. His face looked carved from stone. He didn't look up when Marcus entered. He didn't invite him to sit. Finally, Morrison set down his data pad. Captain Chen, I've been reviewing the incident reports. Colonel Hastings recommends court-martial. Major Torrance filed a complaint. And now the Navi Council requests your presence at a formal gathering. Specifically you, and specifically requesting you bring Nara. Sir, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain why you chose a prisoner everyone rejected? Why you broke rules? Why you've undermined the psychological advantage we established? Psychological advantage, sir. Showing them we can take what we want. That we won completely. Morrison's voice was flat. That's the point, Captain. To establish dominance psychologically. Marcus felt anger rise. With respect, sir, we didn't win completely. We won militarily. But if we lose our humanity in the process, what exactly did we win? Spare me the philosophy. This is about order, discipline, chain of command. It's about a little girl who needed her mother, sir. About children being used as psychological weapons. About treating thinking beings with basic dignity. Morrison's expression didn't change. You know your problem, Chen. You think individual conscience outweighs collective authority. You think your personal morality matters more than military necessity. Maybe it does, sir. Maybe sometimes it has to. That's the kind of thinking that gets soldiers killed. And the other kind, the kind that says obedience matters more than morality, that's the kind that creates monsters, sir. That turns good soldiers into something worse than the enemy. The silence stretched. Finally, Morrison spoke. The Navi Council wants to see you tomorrow at noon. A formal recognition ceremony. Your actions resonated with their population in ways command didn't anticipate. He paused. Be careful, Chen. When the Navi honor someone, it means something. It costs something. You need to understand what you've chosen, not just Nera, but the path that comes with her. I think I'm beginning to, sir. No, you're not. But you will. The next morning, Marcus, Nera, and Kira were escorted to the Na'vi Council chambers. The building had survived the war. Its organic architecture pulsed with glowing light. Inside, 7 elders sat in a circle. Council leader Ikora sat in the central position. Her presence filled the space. Marcus Chen, Ikora said in perfect standard language, you have been called because you have done something unprecedented. You have seen, Council leader, silence. Listen first, Ikora rose. When your people demanded our daughters as spoils, we sent those we thought you would want. The beautiful, the young, the unmarked. We sent them to sacrifice themselves so others might be spared. She moved toward Nera. And we sent one we thought no human would choose, one marked by tragedy, one whose body carries the weight of our greatest sorrow. We sent Nera thinking she would be rejected, having served as a reminder of what war costs. Ikora placed her hand on Nera's cheek. But you chose her. You chose the one we could not bear to look at because she reminds us of our failure. The plague that killed 30,000. The treatment that saved lives but marked bodies. The cultural shame for turning away from our wounded. Marcus's breath caught. They had sent her expecting rejection. A test within a test. You chose her, Ikora continued. Then fought for her child, broke your laws, risked your position, not for strategy, because you saw a mother and child who needed each other. You saw people, not property. Ikora turned to the council. In our tradition, there is a name for one who sees clearly when others are blind, who acts with honor when surrounded by cruelty, who stands alone against darkness. She spoke words in Na'vi that rang like bells. Omatikaya, the one who walks between worlds. The bridge builder, the peace carrier. The council rose as one, placing right hands over hearts in salute. Marcus stood frozen. He'd heard of Omatikaya, legendary mediators who had ended clan wars, united tribes, heroes whose names were still sung. You honor me too much, Marcus said in Na'vi. I am just a soldier. You were just a soldier, Ikora corrected. Now you are more. That title carries weight, responsibility. It means you belong to both peoples now, human and Na'vi. You cannot choose a side. You must choose truth even when it costs everything. I understand, do you? Your people will hate you for it. Mine will doubt you. You will walk alone between worlds that both claim you and both reject you. That is the price of seeing clearly. She paused. Are you prepared to pay it? Marcus looked at Nera, at Kira whose small hand had found his, at the council members whose faces showed respect mixed with expectation. Burden I am, he said. But the final blow came not from words. It came from a name the galaxy had long forgotten. The ceremony ended with ritual words whose weight pressed like gravity. As the council filed out, Nera remained standing, Kira's hand in hers. You should not have done this, Nera said softly. The title of Omatikaya, it is a gift and a curse. My people will expect miracles from you. Yours will expect betrayal. Maybe they'll both be disappointed. They will be. That is certain, she met his eyes. Why did you really choose me, Marcus Chen? Tell me the truth, Marcus gave her honesty. Because you were sitting on the floor alone. Because everyone was laughing. Because I looked at you and saw someone who had survived things I can't imagine. And I thought maybe if I could help you stand up, maybe I could stand up too. Maybe I could be the person I wanted to be instead of the one this war was turning me into. So I was your redemption? No. You were my reminder that there are still people worth being better for. Kira tugged his sleeve. Are you going to stay with us forever? Forever's too large a promise. For as long as you'll have me. Good. Mama cries at night. Maybe if you stay, she won't cry as much. Kira! Nera flushed darker blue. Marcus knelt to Kira's level. Everyone cries sometimes. It's how we clean out sadness so there's room for other things. Your mama has a lot of sadness to clean out, but I promise I'll help make room for good things. What good things? I don't know yet. We'll find out together. This seemed to satisfy the child's need for clarity. She nodded seriously. They left the chambers, coming out into the Na'vi city, where afternoon suns painted everything orange and purple. Everywhere they walked, Na'vi citizens stopped to stare, not with mockery but with recognition, hope, and fear. An elderly Na'vi man walked up, grabbed Marcus's hand, and pressed it to his forehead in gratitude. His granddaughter was in jail. Nara translated. Reunited with his daughter yesterday. He says you gave him his family back. More Na'vi walked up. Mothers with children. Elders with young adults, all thanking him, touching his hands, whispering Omatikaya like a prayer. It was overwhelming. Humbling. Terrifying. That evening, Marcus found his quarters vandalized. Traitor painted across his door. His belongings destroyed. Photos of his family ripped to shreds. A knock on the door frame. Captain Winters stood there with a duffel bag. Figured you might need somewhere to stay tonight. I've got an extra bunk. Winters, don't. Just come on. You know this is just the beginning, right? It's going to get worse. I know. And you're still going through with it. Marcus looked at the destroyed photos, at the hate smeared across his walls, at the cost of seeing clearly when everyone else chose blindness. Yeah, I am. Then you're either the bravest man I know or the dumbest. Winters clapped him on the shoulder. Possibly both. Come on. As they walked away, Marcus thought about Nara and Kira, about the title he'd been given, about the bridge he was building between two worlds that wanted to remain separate. And as they walked away, no one dared laugh again, for they finally understood what they had witnessed. 6 months later, the Valkoran peace accords were signed. In the same hall where Marcus had made his choice, the treaty evolved, from simple surrender into genuine coexistence. Framework, Article 12, the Chandi. Provision, established protection rules for prisoners, required family integration for all detainees, and created oversight committees with representatives from both species. Marcus stood at the ceremony in his dress uniform, though the insignia had changed. Not promoted as he'd expected, reassigned instead to the newly formed Interspecies Relations Division, a position that technically didn't exist in military hierarchy. Neither rank nor role, just liaison Nara stood beside him in traditional Na'vi formal wear. Her body was draped in woven fabrics that celebrated rather than hid her form. She had begun teaching healing arts again, training both Na'vi and human medics in techniques neither species had fully understood alone. Her students came from everywhere, some drawn by her skill, others by the story of the woman who had been last chosen and became most honored. Kira played in the corner with children of both species. Their laughter cut through the formal atmosphere like light through shadow. Do you regret it? Nara asked quietly as the human and Na'vi leaders exchanged ceremonial pens. What you gave up? Marcus thought about his military career effectively ended, about friends who no longer spoke to him, family back on Earth who struggled to understand his choices, about nights he woke from nightmares where he was still standing in that hall, still choosing, still burning his life down for a stranger. Every day, he admitted. Nara's expression fell. And every day, Marcus continued, I wake up and see you teaching healers from both species to save lives together. I see Kira laughing with children who would have grown up hating each other. I see this, he pointed to the treaty signing. And I know that none of it would have happened if someone hadn't chosen to see differently. You think too much of your choice, Nara said gently. It was one moment that changed everything for you, for those children, for me. Maybe that's all any of us get. One moment where we choose to be better than we were. One moment where we see clearly. Council leader Ikora walked over, her formal robes rustling. Omatikaya, the representatives wish to speak with you. Both sides have concerns that require a bridge. They always do, Marcus said, but he was smiling. As he moved toward the delegation tables, Nara caught his hand. Marcus, thank you for choosing me, for seeing me. Thank you for letting me. They separated, moving into their respective roles, her toward the medical delegation, him toward the political one. Two people who had been last and least, now standing at the center of something larger than themselves. In the hall where it had all begun, where laughter had once echoed with cruelty, a new sound rose, the sound of two species learning to speak the same language, learning to see each other, learning that the strongest bridges are built not from stone or steel, but from the courage to choose dignity over dominance. And somewhere in the Valkoran sunset, in the space between orange and purple light, the universe shifted just slightly, recalibrating itself around the truth that one choice, one moment of seeing clearly, could echo across worlds. In a universe built on power, sometimes a single act of compassion is enough to shift the stars themselves.